Okay, so today I'm going over a few things with my crazy Fraggle hair. This is what happens when you run a rescue, see? And you have a 3.5-year-old. What happens is your hair starts thinning. It's horrible. So the doctor said the reason I had this crazy crackhead Fraggle hair is because the doctor said that I cannot wear it up, I cannot blow dry it, I cannot flat iron it. Awesome. I was super excited when he told me that. But hey, I look like hell most of the time anyway, so who cares? So, okay, so anyway, this is what we're going to talk about tonight. So I follow a lot of things on Facebook. I'm on the computer right now, watching the Facebook feed. And one of the things that really bothers me a lot is when I get a petition to sign about the dog meat trade in China. Now, let me say the dog meat trade in China is an absolutely horrific thing. Absolutely horrific. When I see the posts and the pictures about that, it gives me nightmares, it makes me sick to my stomach, and it breaks my heart. I mean, it's one of those things that when I'm passing by it, I try to go by it as quick as possible because I just don't want to see it. I don't. So this is why I don't want to see it. I live in America. I am pretty sure that me signing a petition in Lake Charles, Louisiana is not going to change the dog meat trade in China. I'm sure there are a few people out there that will probably disagree with that and say, oh, there are people that changed the world. And they're right. There are people that changed the world. But it has to begin where the problem is. So let me expand on this just a little further, because I'm sure that this is probably pissing people off. But I am going to piss people off even more because we're about to go into some more stuff about what I equate this to. Most of the people that have a problem with the dog meat trade in China probably sit down at night and eat a steak or a pork chop or some chicken. Okay, so this is my thing. In India, I'm pretty sure it's India. There is a country in America, I'm pretty sure it's my geography and all that is probably not as it should be. If you want to ask me a question about math, I could answer that, but because I'm working on a master's in that. But we start talking about geography. But anyway, there is a country in the world that considers cows sacred. They're sacred. They don't kill them. They don't eat them for sure. In fact, I think they walk around freely, and I think they've become maybe part of an issue in that country. It doesn't matter. Point being, there are probably petitions all over that country about America and what we do with our cows. They are probably signing petitions like lunatics over there. And I get it. Probably most of the people that sit down at night to a steak or a piece of, a pork chop, they don't really like to think about where that meat came from. It came from the grocery store, right? Where was it before that? I don't know if anybody that is so upset about the dog meat trade in China has ever been to a slaughterhouse in America, but it's not pretty. A bolt to the brain is not the way I'd want to go. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty horrific. And those of you out there who say, it's quick. Really? Because you've had one? You've had a bolt to the brain? That's what always kills me when, talk about like you shoot somebody in the head and it's quick. Really? Because Who knows that? Other than the person that experienced it. And I'm pretty certain that anything entering my head and my brain at a velocity that it's going to kill me at first is going to be pretty freaking painful. I'm just saying. Think about that for a minute. And think about all the other cows behind the one getting the bolt to the brain. Think about them. To say that they don't know what's going on in front of them, you can smell blood. Blood has a pretty significant scent. You can smell it. You don't think the other animals behind them know what is going on? They can't smell the blood and what may be about to happen to them? So that's just the slaughter part of it. Has anybody else that's so pissed off about the dog meat trade in China, have you taken a minute to think about how the animals are treated before they go to slaughter? I'm not saying that there aren't farmers in America who do take good care of their animals. This is not directed at them by any means. But I've seen how pigs and cows are treated before they go, and it's not pretty. And just personally, I met somebody's pet pig one time. That thing was the sweetest thing I've ever met in my life. And I could never eat pork after that. I mean, and needless to say, I obviously don't eat beef. So, this is where I'm going with this. Those of you who have a problem with the dog meat trade in China, I get it. And one of the reasons we probably have a problem with the dog meat trade in China is because we see dogs as domestic animals, which they are. They are. And I wouldn't eat one. But I wouldn't eat a cow either, or a pig. And the reason I wouldn't do that is because, now, don't get me wrong, let me preface this whole statement with that. If, you know, the Native Americans, when they would kill an animal to eat, they would thank the animal for its life and for providing it's the nutrition to them. So the Native Americans really understood that we have to survive on this planet, and you have to appreciate all. You'll have to excuse me, I'm getting a phone call, but we're gonna turn the ringer off. I wasn't prepared for that. They understood that we kind of had to coexist with the world and appreciate the lives that we may take for our sustenance. Could I possibly take a life if I was hungry and eat it? Yes, I probably could. If my little girl was hungry, I probably could. But I sure wouldn't do it with a bolt in the brain. I'm not quite sure how I would do it. But my point being is that until people are pissed off about what's going on in America and we try to change what's going on here, then we can't really affect the rest of the world. What's going to affect the dog meat trade in China is a person in China saying that they've had enough of how those animals are treated. So this is where I'm going with this. I mean, it's kind of long-winded, but I mean, most of my stuff is. So pay attention to what's going on in your own country. If you're upset about the dog meat trade in China, then you seriously need to take a look at yourself and not eat beef or pork or chicken. There are numerous other reasons, but we'll go into that on some other day. But don't send me a petition to sign about changing the dog meat trade in China. Send me a petition to change the slaughterhouses in America. That I'll sign. That I will sign. Send me a petition to change breed bans. That I'll sign. And we'll get onto that later as well, because that's a whole nother topic that we don't need to go into now. So anyway, this is my point. Again, before you pay attention to what's going on in another country because you're pissed off about it, pay more attention to what's going on in your own country. It's kind of like, don't be pissed off about what's going on in another city. Be pissed off about what's going on your block, in your backyard. So if you're pissed off about the dog meat trade in China and you still eat beef or pork or anything of that nature, then you are a complete hypocrite. And that's it. So anyway, that's my rant for this evening. I know I've kept, you know, most of the posts and the videos kind of on a lighter note, but I saw another petition again today about the dog meat trade in China, and I thought to myself, you know what, that is a horrific thing, but I wonder if those bastards eat beef. I mean, really? You live in America. You're upset? Come on. If you're that upset, fly over to China and change it. And ask India what they think about what we do to cows. I'm just saying. Okay, so anyway, good night, everyone. And excuse the circles. Renee needs some sleep. Evidently, the founder of Lake Charles Pit Bull Rescue needs some work done. We'll get to that later sometime, too. Good night.